Good afternoon, parents and family members. As I stated in my newsletter this weekend, I wanted to take you on a classroom tour, let you see all the different workspaces that the kids will be involved in this year. I wanted you to just get an idea of what we're doing all day. And some of the areas, of course, are not ready yet. We're not there. We're not doing those things like our centers, but I'll just show you the space, and then as we start to update things, I'll send some pictures out to you so that you can see what we're doing. So sit back and enjoy the tour. It is the beginning of the day. The students aren't here yet. At the end of the day, I check work and put the chairs up. So at the end of the day, this is what the classroom will look like after everyone's gone. Now they're just about to come in. The bell's going to ring. It probably might ring while I'm doing this, but when they come in, they're going to take the papers on top off and put them in their red folder. This is their mailbox. This is checked work. This is what they can take home. This is what you need to look for. You can see how your student is doing and your child is doing, my student, your child, and you'll be able to check out their work. As we move around the room, you're going to see more places and more activities that we do, so stay tuned. Now, as I showed you this morning, before the kids got here, they're gone now, but this is their workspace, and every day they come in and they come to their seat, and they, of course, they unpack and they get their planners out and their red folders and their snack and vote for lunch, and then they open up their work folder, and they have two sides to their work folder. They have a yes side and they have a no side. So as they're coming in the morning, they check out the no side and they get an opportunity to finish anything that's not finished. And when they get done, they just place it here in the yes side so that I don't have to check anything right away. After school, I usually do that. And then if something needs to be fixed, I'll put it back on the no side. Now, this is a chance for them to be independent workers. So they can make decisions and have choices about their work. And sometimes they don't always make the right choice about their work. So sometimes they think it's done and it's not. So we just work on that and work through that. So that's how they work. That's how they do their mornings. And just check out their work folder. Okay. And of course, everything is quiet and in order as they're working so that everybody is working and no one is distracted. So just imagine your kids sitting here at their desks working away. And boy, this class is really, really great at it. The next area that we spend time in, we spend a lot of time here at the front of the room on the carpet, and we've already established this. I don't know if you can see it, but we've got some chalk lines, and we started off on the first day of school. We had row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, but they don't need the chalk lines anymore. They know exactly where to sit, and I can just call row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, and they come right on. Again, a really sharp bunch. But the first thing we do is called our morning meeting. So we meet up here, and then I just go through these slides, and we just go through all these activities. There's poetry, songs. We do some moving activities. We do the calendar, and I want to introduce you to the newest member of our classroom. We also have a Google Home. This is like an Alexa, and we just ask it, hey, Google, what's the weather for today?
Today in North Liberty Township, it'll be partly cloudy with a forecasted high of 72 and a low of 60. It's currently 72 and cloudy.
So, and the kids think that is really awesome. They love it. And they're always excited. And I'm letting them right now talk to it. And so it's a novelty right now. So anyways, we spend time here. And one of the things that we do, let's see if I can come in here, is we have our goals, our schedule, and then we have our goals. So I'm letting the students know, here's what we're doing every day, and and then here's how we want to do it. So they know exactly what's expected. And of course, everybody is expected to do their very best. The next thing that we do in the mornings is called math meeting. We have some whole group time on the carpet. We're still on the carpet for a little bit. We take a brain break in between some moving and dancing. And then we will have a whole group time, and then we split up into two groups. Right now we're calling ourselves A and B. Thing 1 and thing 2, whatever. We're going to name our teams. And Miss Cottle will take a group, and they do computer activities and games. And then I work on a lesson with them and a concept. We're using Engage Math, and it's very good. It's very conceptual and concrete, and the students are really prepared when they take those math assessments that they have to take 4 times a year. This curriculum really prepares them for that. So another thing that the students have to use and learn how to manage well is their math tools. So we're going to take a look at some of the math tools that they'll be using. Now let's move on to these math tools. The kids are going to be using lots of different kinds of charts. Right now we are using, this is called the number bond chart. So in this section is for the whole amount, and then they break the whole into 2 parts. This really helps when they're learning addition and subtraction. It really hones in on the fact that you start with a whole and you can pull away a part, subtract, or you can start with 2 parts and you can create a whole. This mat also does that concept really well. Whole, part mat. Sometimes I'll have them flip it and we'll do part, whole, pull together. Addition and subtraction can be done that way. We also use, we have lots of games, so we're using dice. I love dice. This is another big tool that we use, and this is our Snappy Cubes. We use these for counting, building amounts. We can even use these for measuring. So they use these a lot. And then later on in the year, we'll be using place value blocks. We'll be building numbers with hundreds, tens, and ones. We also use a number line, various number lines, and a 100 board. So they're going to learn how to add, subtract, and find numbers here. We, of course, use clocks. We're still telling time. We use digital and FaceTime. And in first grade, we're telling time on the hour and time on the half hour. So those are just a few of the tools that we'll be using. And when the students are working on any kind of math, they can choose any tool that they prefer. So some of the kids, they love their fingers, of course, and they're going to start with those. But some of the kids love to use the Snappy Cubes. Later on, they'll want to use these. And some kids really prefer the number line because they don't like the snapping and pulling apart. So whatever tool they want, whatever counter they want, it'll be available for solving, because in first grade it's very conceptual and you have to give them things to manipulate so that they can solve. Another really important area in the room is where we work on reading. So you can see this shelf over here. Right now, we're not doing our reading groups yet because we're doing our assessments. I've got my little iPad here and I'm calling the students over, and we do several assessments to see exactly where they are in reading so that we can place them in the correct type of materials to help them be successful and grow as readers. So, but in this area, everybody will be placed into a group according to their reading ability and skills. We'll put them in the just right level. And these are some materials we'll use. Sometimes we work on spelling words. We use the whiteboards. We play lots of games. One of their favorite games is called Trash Can. And of course, we are reading using these types of materials that are leveled for them, and we'll place them in their instructional reading level. And we're also doing, again this year, our word study and word sorts. And the word sort that your child is working in will be the spelling words that they will be spelling that week or weeks for the next couple of weeks that they're working in that sort. So everybody in the classroom will not necessarily be on the same word sort or spelling the same exact words. It depends on what they're working on. So some kids might be in short A, some kids might be in short U, just depends. So that's how we figure out what kind of spelling words and what kind of word study words that we're working on. So, and all of those are placed in there, and we just have all kinds of levels of spelling words that they can spell and sort. So this is our reading area, and we spend a lot of time here. I do small group here, and I call, of course, a couple kids. Usually we have a group of no more than 6, but last year we had to have more than 6 because we just had so many students, but they get to sit in little stools and I'm working with them. Now, while I'm working with the students on reading, the other students will be doing various activities around the room. Let me show you some of those areas. So while I'm reading with a small group, some of the students will be doing read to self. These are some of the read to self areas, and they will be able to, let me just take you over here right quick to the book selection. This is the read to self baskets. We have not talked about these yet. We're getting ready to talk about them hopefully tomorrow, but everybody according to their reading level will have a dot color. These are very flexible. As the students grow in reading, they move from dot color to dot color so that they can be in the just right books. And so they get to come and select a book according to their dot color. They get to put it in a little suitcase, carrying case, and then they get to go and find a spot in the room. These are just, like I said, a few spots. They can also just sit on the carpet or on the floor, and they're going to read to self. And we're going to be learning all about read to self. And in the future, I'll give you a little quick a lesson on how they read to self and how it's beneficial. That's coming up. These areas are not quite ready yet, but another thing the students will be doing, some kids will be at reading groups, some kids will be at read to self, and others will be at centers. So we have a painting center, which they absolutely love, and I do too. We have over here, these are not set up, so bear with me. We have some desktops, and what we do over here is these are listening centers. So one of them will be a story, like a YouTube story, a book, and they have to listen and then do a written response or a reading response sheet. Sometimes I have a nonfiction story set up over here. Sometimes we're able to set up maybe a game, ABC game for them to work on. And then, of course, we have the old-fashioned, old-timey, but still valuable CD player. And I have a lot of stories that have CDs and tapes and books, and this is a listening center. They listen to the story, and then they have some kind of response sheet that they're doing. This will be where they work on writing. Every day we do a writing workshop where we're working on listening to stories and writing and being authors, but then they'll have some practice time over here at this center too. We also have, and this is not, just try to use your imagination if you would, poetry. So in the morning, we have poetry and rhyme that we practice, and then we carry it over to a center. And then these will all be, I call them spelling stations, but they're more like working with word stations. So the kids will be able to go to do different activities. They'll do rainbow spelling. They'll do short vowel, long vowel activities. They'll do maybe some sentence writing. It just depends on what we're doing that month. So these are spelling stations. Hey parents, I told you that I would give you an update on centers when I got those all ready and prepared. My first run through in the classroom tour, the centers were empty. So now centers are ready to go. This is the painting center. And of course, every time they finish the rotation, there will be a new job, but everything in this center has to do with painting. And we will scroll over here. And the rest of the centers also have been updated. So we have the listening center ready to go. We're studying right now Kevin Hinkey's books, and so the first listening center will be a book called Lily's Purple Plastic Purse. So this is the listening center. And then this is the poetry center. And we have been reciting a poem called Little Girl. So when they come here, they'll read the poem twice. They will put the poem parts back together and then fill in the missing blanks and illustrate. The newest center I have this year, I've never had a writing center. We've always done writing, but this writing center I'm really excited about. They'll have a have-to, something they have to do, and that will usually be a theme. So the first theme is school. So they're going to be coloring and cutting and writing about school. They can use these vocab words or any school words. And then they will place their writing in a spirally notebook that belongs to them. And then their collection of writings will be in this notebook, and they can read it whenever they want to. Take it home at the end of the year and have a collection. They'll also have a can-do, and I thought this was a really cute idea. I got this off of another teacher, but the can-do is there'll be a little writing journal here, and once they get their have-to done, their can-do, they can pick a page, illustrate, and write something, and then another classmate, when it's their turn to come here, can do another page, illustrate and write, and then when they come back to the center, the next time they come back, they can actually look through the book and browse everybody's writing, and they can get ideas from their fellow classmates. I think that's really a great idea. I'm excited to see how that works. And then over here, we're going to be using our desktops. This one is going to be a game center where they're going to be playing educational games. And then over here, they'll be watching a YouTube video or a story that is visual. And the first one they're going to watch is Owen. This is also a Kevin Hinkey's book. They'll also have an activity to do after listening and watching, and usually it has to do with, this one has to do with the character, and they get to share their favorite part or tell about the character. So these will be the 6 centers they'll be rotating through. And the spelling stations, I'm still working on those, but right now, let's see if I can get to Station A. Station A is always going to be about words, sight words. So right now we've got a fishing game available, and they get to come and they get to fish out a word, and they read it and they write it, and then when they're finished, they sign their name that they've been fishing. So that's a cute one. This center is always going to be about sounds. Station B, spelling station B, word station. And then this first one is about the beginning sounds that they hear. And they're just going to be taking a clip with a letter on it, and they're going to match it with the beginning sound. So this one is and they would have to find the mouse. And then there's a little sheet to do similar where they're matching the beginning sound, writing it, tracing, and coloring. And then this station, Station C, is going to be exclusively iPad, and I've got several games downloaded, and also we'll be doing Letterland, and so we'll have some Letterland apps that they can do and reinforce their phonics skills. And then this one doesn't have anything, but it is Station D, and this one is going to be devoted to an app. It's actually a website and an app. It's called Epic Books, and we'll be using the Chromebook because our iPad is in use with Letterland, but they get to come to this station and there will be a Chromebook here, and they will actually be able to read books that have been selected just for them based on their choices and their reading level. And there is just a limited supply. This Epic Book app is also an app that you can purchase monthly, and it is a huge resource, well worth the investment. So this is just a quick look at our stations. We have one more over here, and we couldn't get them all on that little round table. This one's the Rhyme Time station, and we'll have just different activities with rhyming words. This one is going to be a little sorting activity, and then there will be a sheet that goes with this. So these are the updated centers and spelling stations. I'm so excited about getting started. We'll actually get started with those next week. We'll visit them, talk about them, and then as soon as reading assessments are over, we'll begin our rotation of stations and centers and reading group. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you can really kind of get an idea of what your child is doing in the middle of the day during literacy time. And one more thing I want to let you know about is one more part of the reading equation this year, new to first grade, is Letterland. I know they did this in kindergarten, and the children are really familiar with the characters and the sounds that the letters make. So we're going to be taking it a step further, and we'll be creating words, reading words, and we'll be looking for patterns, short A words, rhyming words. So you can see this little chart. We've already started working on some short A rhyming families. This is a whole group time that the kids are working on breaking words apart, blending them together, reading and spelling according to pattern. And this should help them in their quest to learn new words so that they can be stronger readers. So this program is called Letterland, and we do this every day. Now, this space in the classroom is dedicated to different boards that the students will become very familiar with. So let me explain this first one. When I'm doing my small group reading, some students will be going to centers and spelling stations. And what we do is we're just assign them to a reading group. Last year I had the celestial stars, rockets, of course, rainbows, moons. And after we do assessments, we will assign the students into small groups according to their reading level. And so you can kind of see this is, we're getting ready to start, but we'll start in a couple weeks. But I've already got the little groups sort of in there, anticipating when we finish assessments. So for instance, if it were a reading rotation, the stars would be doing read to self, and the rocket group would be at spelling. No group would be at read to partner. The rainbows would be working at their centers, and the moons would be at a reading group. Last year my assistant was Miss Stevens, so this year they'll be with Miss Cottle, and then one group will be with Miss Davis. So if we were doing reading groups right now, the sons would be with me. And then after I complete the reading group, then we rotate. So the bottom kids would come on up to read to self, the stars would go to spelling, the rockets would go to read to partner or to centers, depending on what we're doing that day. And then the moons would skip on to another rotation. Of course, they wouldn't go with me. We would move the moons and the suns and rotate them around and then grab two more. So that would be, that's our literacy block of time. Those are the kind of things we're working on. And the kids really love this time because they're independent. When they're at Read to Self, they're choosing their own books according to the just right fit. They get to select one spelling station that they've not been to during the week, one center, and So it's free choice within limits, and they really like that responsibility. And sometimes some of them have to grow into it, and they have to work at making good choices, but eventually they get the hang of it. So that's the centers. This is our helper board. We've not started helpers yet, but I really need a lot of classroom participation here because we have so many jobs, and it really helps the kids be responsible and take a leadership role. So we have things like line leader, door holder, hall monitors, plant person, lunch count, table fairy, and seriously, like I just assign these jobs and the kids really just take them to heart and they want to do them really, really well, and they're so proud. And then of course, our classroom rules, which we've went over, and our behavior chart. And you can kind of see this is actually from today, and everyone was on green or above, so it was a really good day. So this little section of the room is dedicated to just charts that the kids will navigate and be responsible for understanding. Now, this conglomeration of stuff, this is where I keep all my social studies and science and health materials. So we've got rocks in here. We've got some insects. I don't know if you can see that. Creepy. We have some magnets. I love when we study magnetic pull. So got some things in there. And I've got some more stuff in here. We do dental health, and we work on plants and seeds. So everything we need for social studies, science, and health is located in these compartments, and I just pull them out as needed. And one of my favorite times of the day is doing social studies, science, and health, and I think it is their fun time too. Okay, this area up here is where all of our nonfiction textbooks are located, and we usually talk about nonfiction books. We really do an in-depth study around January, and then we pull out all of our baskets and we just browse them and we look for all the nonfiction features, and we look for table of contents and maps. We look for pictures and captions, and they really become familiar with these type of books. And then we actually write a class book, nonfiction, pick a topic. And then last year, the children even did research. They chose a topic, did research, and wrote their own nonfiction book. So it's really amazing. Again, I love anything that has to do with nonfiction learning. And so this is a special area that we only use once in a while. And once we learn about the features, then we can pull those down and the kids know how to navigate. Nonfiction can be a little complicated, so we really teach them in depth how to look through, browse, and learn from a nonfiction text. Well, I hope this classroom tour video was helpful to you, and I hope that you have gained a lot of insight into how we spend our day here in first grade. Every day is very busy. We have a lot of work to do, a lot of growing and learning to do. Try to do that each day in fun ways. Try to have good activities where they're moving and doing art and just exploring. So I think that you can really learn and grow through adventure and exploring. And so I hope, again, as I said, I hope this was helpful. If you've seen something here in this video that you still have questions about, feel free to email me or send me a message in Blooms or stop on in. And so until our next video, I'll see you later.